Hey there, everybody. Parks Ousley here. I'm joined by Vulcan today. It is the middle of the week. We're actually not meeting on the weekend, so I get to see you in the Evil Geniuses laboratory. I don't know what you all call it there, but thank you for inviting me to your home for a quick little chat.
Of course.
So we are right before Super Week. This is probably going to go up tomorrow, so the day before the last weekend of playoffs. So that's what I'm going to start it off with. You all are sitting right at the edge of making playoffs, but there are a lot of teams that are going to be fighting this weekend. So I just wanted to kind of get a quick check-in. You have one more day of scrims left. How are you feeling right now?
Honestly, I'm feeling very confident going into this Super Week because I think we have a much easier strength of schedule compared to the other teams that are like in this. I think the LCS likes to call it the soup.
Yeah.
Um, so I think we have a much easier time in just like getting our wins and then having like a pretty easy time getting to playoffs because we also have good head-to-head with the teams that are close to us. So I think the big game is going to be the FlyQuest game because they're looking like better compared to the other teams we will play this weekend, which are GG and CLG. So I think we started the weekend off on Friday as well playing FlyQuest, and I've never felt like we had a really hard time playing against them. I think we matched pretty well against that team, and if we win that game, I feel like we're just like GG. We're going to playoffs pretty much. So that's the big one, but yeah, even if we don't, we get those two wins against the two other teams, and we're chilling anyway. So there's like some pressure because if we do manage to somehow not make playoffs, then we lost like to those teams, and it's like this big upset because we're obviously super good individuals, but that that will never happen. So we're good.
Yeah, I definitely think that you should be feeling confident. I think looking at the roster, even looking at the fact that you're 7-8, and then looking at the strength of schedule, I think that you're going to be totally fine.
There's a big advantage to being top four, I think, in the playoffs because seed 5 and 6 start in the lower bracket, right? So that's why the game against FlyQuest is so important
Oh,
because
that's
if we
right.
want to sneak into the top four, I think we have to go over them as we're like pretty far from 100 Thieves who are at 10 wins and they'll probably beat, they play Dignitas, like you said, so
Hmm.
they'll be out of reach most likely. So we have to have our eyes on FlyQuest and place over them, and then we're in the upper bracket, and then if we win I think one series from the upper bracket. If we win that one series, we go straight to the finals in Texas. So that's like the
Ooh,
hype
yeah.
the hype part of it. But that's pretty far in advance. We're just looking at the FlyQuest game for now, as that's the most important game of the weekend.
Um, what is your, I guess, what would be your prediction of the other teams that would eke in along next to you? Because, and I'll give it to you because I'm sure you don't have it right in front of you. Cloud9, Team Liquid, 100 Thieves are going to make it.
Hmm.
But then Counterlogic Gaming is in eighth right now. Do you think that they have a chance to sneak in, or that Immortals or TSM somehow have a chance to sneak in, or do you think it's just going to be those are the top six teams? CLG can't make it. No one's going to fall out.
I don't think CLG can make it, but the question is now, I think between Dig and GG, right? Because
Oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah. There was one extra one. That was seven. Yeah, yeah. You're right.
yeah,
So it's
okay,
Dig, and Golden Guardians are the two that are at 7 and 8, along with you.
yeah,
That makes
and that's
seven
like
of
the
the
top
top six.
seven, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
okay. So I think FlyQuest will make it in. I think we'll make it in. And then between Dig and GG, I feel like GG is probably the better team, but at the same time they're very close. And
Mhm.
um,
Dignitas has to play Cloud9, Team Liquid, and 100 Thieves.
okay, so congratulations on making playoffs, Golden Gardens.
Okay, cool. Switching over topics a little bit, I want to talk some about your performance throughout the split. I think coming into lock-in, people were talking, or coming in and then finishing lock-in, people were talking about you as potentially like the strongest looking player, at least like in the top like two or three um, throughout all of lock-in. And then throughout the split, you had some really incredible games. It's like, this is Vulcan, this is who we know. He's like NA's best support. And then you've also had some like strings of games where you didn't feel like you were the same player, like you were the same like super big threat for the enemy team. Like you always have to be very prepared. Um, and I feel like you've started to come back up towards like what we the fans expect of you. What is what has your kind of split been like for you? Can you just kind of talk through some of the last month or so of play?
Yeah, I mean, I think I struggled individually with my performance earlier in the split. Like, Lock-in, I did great at the start of the split. I played not so good myself, and it's also part of it is I'm the kind of player that will um, look bad when my team is not doing well, and I will look. I mean, I guess I'll look good if my team is doing good, right? And that's kind of how the support role works. But
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of player to like sit back and lose the game. If I think the game is like in a dire spot, then I'll try to have something like make something happen, right? To have a potential comeback. So maybe that's why it doesn't look as good. But yeah. Anyway, that sounds like an excuse. I don't think
That's
I've been
fair.
playing particularly great this split, but I still think I'm like the second best support this split after Cora. Anyway, um, but yeah, I think I've been playing much better recently, and the games, the games that we lose, at least recently, we're losing to like teams that are pretty good. The 100 Thieves loss hurt because, um, well, we had like a clear moment in the game where it was pretty much won, and also I think we missed or like we had the wrong idea on how to play team fights because I think we could have been like a lot more decisive in just going in and killing the enemy ADC much more and just like rolling over them in team fights. But we played kind of scared, and it is my role when I play all to like tell my teammates to just fucking go in, and that's something I didn't do, at least not like every time there was an angle. So didn't play that good there, but like kind of I guess getting back into form and starting to ramp up for playoffs because that's something also I've realized last year is that, or like last year and the year before that, is regular season doesn't matter as much as people would want it to be, I guess, especially the fans, right? It's not as important to veterans to perform in regular season because you'll end up in playoffs anyway and you'll end up in a best of five against the same team as like seed four is going to play against seed one. And if I beat them, then suddenly I'm seed one, right? Like,
Yeah.
so, yeah, as long as we make it in and then we have good form for playoffs, I'm not worried about anything.
Yeah, that's very fair. Yeah, it's not an excuse. So, what has been the hardest thing for Evil Geniuses as a team throughout this split? Throughout, new roster, changing metas, just developing synergy and trying to get to a point where you are hopefully the best team in playoffs. What has been the hardest part of the split so far?
I'm not sure about the hardest, but the one thing that comes up in mind, because it's something that is pretty relevant right now, and it kind of touches on the answer I had earlier, where in the game against Honor Thieves we didn't play team fights very well, and I think that's an issue we've had since the start of the year. And sometimes we either don't know how to play a team fight, we don't like sometimes a player will not do what's required in a certain fight, like they have a spell that can provide space for us, and they're not using it, or someone's not stepping up and like spreading out. So a lot of times we'll be like all stacked together, and then we're like choked out, and the enemy team is like kind of surrounding us, and it's much easier for the team that's surrounding to like play a team fight, right? Because you have more angles and stuff. And so that's been pretty hard, and also I feel like we don't just go in, and that's like I guess recency bias with the 102's game, but so many times that in that game we can just send it and just like use everything forward and then hope. It's not really hope. It's like know that the fight will go well, and I feel like sometimes we play a bit too scared in that regard. And it feels weird to me because in C9 we send it a lot of time. So it's something I'm trying to bring here, I guess. But yeah, I think team fighting and not so much skirmishing, but like team fighting with 4v4, 5v5 has been kind of our weakness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you for that insight. And, I hope to see some change in playoffs. Luckily, you'll get a lot more games. So, a lot more opportunities. Last question, and then I'll let you go. I'm sure you have some Champions queue or something to get to. But
oh yeah, it's past 6 p.m. I gotta queue up.
I gotta stop wasting your time. So kind of similar to the last question, but also going off of something that I spoke with Artemis about. He said that you guys a couple weeks ago were at the beginning of something special. Like those are his words, and that it's not just like the communication within the game or like some pieces that he was looking at, but just kind of examining the team and the individual people that are on it, and the way that each person looks at the game and looks outside the game and kind of interacts and stuff. That he was just really excited for the future of Evil Geniuses. How has that been for you? Do you have any other kind of insight? I just want to check in again on team atmosphere and how all of that has been developing.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we have like the right group of players and the right, people around us to win a trophy. And I think right now we just need some time because, like you said, we're like a wild range of people. We've all like recently played in a very different team, and it's hard to quickly get on the same page. So we're taking time to ramp up, and I think Jojo has been doing very well in lane, but he's been struggling with like some later parts of the game, and I think that's to be expected with a rookie. He's like put in a lot of situations where he's not really seen before, and a lot of the league is about pattern recognition. And if he makes a mistake, a lot of time I'll scream at him that he's trolling, or someone else will do it. Most of the time, because he's also the kind of person that can easily take criticism, and he'll realize his mistake. He'll probably say he'll argue something troll and have fun with it, but he's gonna think about it, and it feels like if he does something, he does a mistake, the next time it's very likely that it won't happen again, and that's a very good sign for playoffs and for summer split if we just keep doing that. And I think Jojo will be a much stronger player by the time playoffs come around. By the time summer playoffs come around, when it's time for world qualification, I think we'll be particularly strong and a much bigger threat, just because it takes time to build a team, and Jojo needs to be in more situations where he can kind of learn what to do and kind of build this pattern recognition, right? So, But yeah, I'm very hopeful as well.
Awesome, cool. I know maybe now I'm the one trolling you because I said the last question was the last one. Very, very quickly, and then I'll let you go. Speaking of summer, do you have any thoughts about big changes that might happen, either roster changes between the break or looking at the fact that TSM went 2-0 last week, CLG has gotten a lot of wins recently. They're both, we're at the bottom. Some other teams like Fly and Dig and whoever have been dropping in Immortals. And then obviously, you expect to be at the top next year. Do you have any thoughts about big changes that might happen?
Well, Niski's available, so teams can look at him. That's all I have.
Not Jensen?
Niski.
Just Niski. All right. Cool. Well, thank you so much again for the interview. Best of luck this weekend in securing playoffs, and best of luck when you get into the playoffs.
Thanks.
And we'll be seeing you around. For all of you watching, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe and check out the rest of the content. We'll see you next time.